What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the second part. If you haven't already caught my first part video about this, the Valkyrie discussion videos. Quick summary, the first part is already uploaded a week ago or so. This is going to be part two. It's a three-part series, basically catching myself up and catching you guys up if you haven't read Record of Ragnarok, also known as Shuumatsu no Valkyrie. This is a really good series, and this is the part two. We're covering the first three fights. It's basically, to summarize really quick, it's a tournament style, at least first arc it appears. It's more like a tournament style series, so if you guys are familiar with the tournament arc from very classic shonens as a trope, then you will be familiar with basically the way this goes. It's gods versus humanity, and we've already had our first fight. Our first fight featuring Thor, the god of thunder from Norse mythology, versus the Overlord himself, the strongest military leader. Arguably, once again, I had my own reservations about who I thought should have taken that place, but it was Lu Bu. And it ended in a crushing defeat for humanity. Lu Bu was killed in the first fight. So there we go. We're moving on to the second bout. Now, this second fight is probably my favorite fight. It's got to be. I'm kind of hesitant to say that between the third and the second fight. Definitely between those two. But I think I finally picked the second fight for me personally because I thought it brought all the hype. It really brought me in because it was right around the start of this fight where I actually got dragged into this series when I was first told about it. I think it might have been the end chapter of the Thor fight, but I'm pretty sure it was around this chapter or one before it or so. So either way, we're just going to go right through. For those of you who don't know, this is simply a discussion series. I'm going to jump right in. We're going to go through this fight, and I'm just basically going to catch you guys up to speed, my thoughts about it, why I think it was such a good fight, things like that. And hopefully the third part, which will cover the third fight, of course, will be out shortly thereafter in the following week. And then we'll finally be caught up so we can start doing behind the bar reviews, assuming that YouTube and the FTC and everyone will still allow anybody to actually make reviews anymore. So we're going to see. But either way, let's just jump through this right now. Pretty much, we all know that he died, right? He had a crushing defeat and stuff, and that's pretty bad. But we also see that, red hair. Thor leaves the arena, and we see the red hair and the men, the army of Lu Bu, are still there, saying basically, without my lord, there is no point in a heaven or a hell or an earth without him. We're going to follow him, and so they all surround Thor, and they go charging at him and stuff. And Thor, of course, remember that Thor, throughout that fight, actually gained a level of respect for Lu Bu, and so he also, in his name, basically says, I will send you all there as offerings, in his name, to Lu Bu and stuff like that. And then of course he's just gonna bitch, man. We don't really see this happen, but pretty much we learn that these are souls, as we know that these people have long since died. Clearly this isn't happening. The Valkyrie are grabbing, Brunhild is grabbing people all throughout history of humankind. So clearly these are the souls. As she explains, the souls of these people, when they die, they're dead. There is no, apparently in this interpretation, I know many different mythologies and religions follow this, but the cycle of rebirth, or the cycle of reincarnation. This is something that is brought up in a lot of animes, a lot of mythologies, a lot of things, basically, any media format. Is this idea that souls are constantly reborn. The soul is never destroyed. So even if somebody dies, they go to heaven or something, and eventually they come back down, or blah, 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 vice versa, that kind of thing, right? They live another life eventually, and then another one, and then another one, I believe in Buddhism, you lead 7 lives or something like that. I seem to remember the number 7 for some reason, or maybe it's 6, but you go through each of the stages and eventually you end up in, enlightenment, and that's the end of your road. There is an inevitable end. I think that's Buddhism. I'm not 100% sure. But this series is clearly talking about that. But here in this arena of the gods, where she has brought their souls forth, when their soul dies, they die. They aren't entered back in. They will never see them again. Their soul has been destroyed. All particles, every atom of their existence is forever gone. There is no heaven. There is no hell. There's no underworld. There's no Mu. There's no nothing. They're just gone. They're not going to be reborn. They're never going to be. So that's a very crushing thing to find out here. And the little one, Gear, I think her name is. She's of course, the youngest of the Valkyrie sisters, and she's basically like, well, then our sister is also dead. We will never see her smile or something like that. And it's just like, well, we have to risk this. We need to risk everything to save humanity and stuff. And as a Valkyrie, as a demigod and stuff, you can kind of see where that's going. So the first battle's over. They go through, and basically Brunhild, she decides on who can win amongst all of humanity. File number 000000000. I think there's one more zero. 1. I'm reading it right now, and I believe that's the number of zeros. That's file number, the one with the strongest will. File number 1. And I mean, who else would that be other than, of course, the man, the myth, the legend? We see it basically every kind of a Noah's Ark thing going on here. I don't know what that's about, I guess, or I guess the men of the animals of Eden or something like that. But either way, it's basically who shows up but the man himself, the man with the weight of his fists, the ultimate survivalist, unarmed combat. He birthed the original sin. He is, of course, Adam. So the first son, Adam, is here, and everyone's like, even we see the angels shocked. We see Odin kind of like looking on like, what? Zeus is even there going like, huh? Like, it's a big, like, wait a minute, Adam's here? Really? The second fighter is Adam. So we see a shot of Michelangelo. There's really a lot of cool things here. So the setup is here. We have Adam. Now, I'm not a huge fan. I don't go to church or anything, so I was never a huge fan of the creation theory of Adam and Eve and stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind it either as far as that story goes, but I always found it kind of dull, kind of boring. So just remember that, guys, when I tell you that this fight and Adam impressed me so much. Like, the interpretations in this manga series are just sometimes just so unique. They can take someone who I didn't really have any, like, Adam, who cares? Like, I'm more interested, for example, in the TV show Lucifer and the interpretation of Lucifer from, I believe, the Sandman series, which is based off of, something like that. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in Legion, and I'm interested in, like, don't get me wrong, there are many stories in the Bible I'm interested in. Adam is not one of them. Adam's just like, okay, he was born, whatever. That's the start of the downfall of the devil and all that stuff. Big things like that, right? And I'm sitting there like, don't really know a whole lot about him, but he had no interest for me. So I just wanted to hammer that home for you, ladies and gentlemen, because this is probably, he's got to be one of my favorite characters in this series, and his interpretation is just great. Like, as I said, this manga series takes, like, Thor is not necessarily, he's actually this bloodthirsty. He's not the honorable one that people would know from Marvel Comics, or the way he's painted as this war hero. He's more like a war tyrant in this series, right? And the romanticized version of Lubu and stuff like that. And Zeus supposed to be this wonderful creator god and all this stuff. Of course, we know that from mythology he was a bit of a playa, but at the end of the day, he was still supposed to be like a fair judging, like the good guy who fought the Titans and stuff like that in a short and sweet version. But here we see him as sadistic, this very creepy old man who gets his jollies from the weirdest things. So these interpretations, like, I was a big fan of Zeus from multiple different medias and stuff. This one, I mean, he's great as a villain. I like the interpretation, but I don't like him. He's creepy, he's wrong, and either way, that's what we're leading into here. So, I mean, we get everyone here. It's supposed to be Shiva, I believe. Shiva, who is somebody that everyone's just kind of like, okay, this should be interesting. We're gonna have Shiva against Adam, and a lot of people are looking forward to Shiva, the god Shiva, and not the interpretation that is sometimes depicted as a woman, but this time the god version, the creationist god. We also get a bunch of things like Mozart and Bach and stuff here. Hermes makes his appearance, who once again I think Hermes is going to be involved in a fight. Hermes is one of those characters kind of reminding me of the Sosuke Aizen, Kisuke Urahara from Bleach sort of idea. The guy in the shadows, the guy in the background. You don't think he's going to fight. You don't think he's going to be involved or on the front lines. And he's going to be just as important, if not more important, than some of the combatants we've already seen. So Hermes shows up to play this beautiful melody where Zeus comes into play. Zeus shows up and he has basically taken over. It was supposed to be Shiva, and we see that basically he starts dancing. The Godfather starts dancing and stuff. It's kind of weird. I'd laugh to see how they would do this in an anime, because it seems like he's supposed to be dancing kind of foolishly, or kind of like 70s-ish or something. I don't know. I don't know really what he's trying to pull off. Apparently the music is bar none some of the best, but it seems to be kind of a play on, like I'm picturing that scene in Airplane, where they're making fun of the whole, like, the disco dancing with the and stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing here with Zeus, lollygagging around, right? So the King of the Gods has shown up. Now, they're surprised by this because it wasn't supposed to be... Shiva was supposed to be in this place. But as I said before, it's very interesting here, because Shiva basically has to bow down to Zeus. Like, we saw Zeus as the chairman, as the chancellor, but we know that with this mesh of all these different gods, it's very interesting to see that, you have people like Odin. You have people like Ra and Anubis. You have people like Shiva, the god of creation. I'm sure Kami is here somewhere. One of the great kamis of Japanese mythology. I'm sure they're all here. So this leads me to believe, okay, they're all gods of creation. Well, they can't all be the ones who created the earth. One of them had to be. Why is Zeus in charge? Of course, Zeus is one of the most famous. The depiction that we know of the Christian god, very much based off of Zeus. That's basically what happened. A lot of paganism basically influenced the modernized Christianity. Quick history lesson for you there. The halos, the dates of certain holidays, the day of worship being Sunday, hence worship the sun, Sunday. The more you know. A lot of influence there. But so this always, kind of made me think, like, okay, well, how's it going to be? How did they decide this order and stuff? And then we see that, Shiva is ready to go. He's ready to fight. But they're worried. They're worried, clearly, or Zeus is, about Adam. And this is where he basically says, he's showing up, and he's tapping Shiva on the back, and he's like, hey, you came to cheer me on? And Zeus says, it's my turn now. Shiva's like, no, and then he just keeps saying, it's my turn now, it's my turn now. Shiva eventually says, get your hand off me, old man, you seen an old fart. And he just keeps saying, it's my turn now, and all of a sudden, he starts to get angry, and all of a sudden he just forces him to his knees with no effort. He's just like, it's my turn now. And Shiva actually gets scared, he gets nervous about this, and he takes his hand, he rips it off, and he just says, fine, whatever, like, we'll go around you and me right now. But then he's like, all right, then he gives up. He takes a breath of air and he gives up. So clearly here, Shiva has some level of, even though he believes himself, similar to something like One Piece, where all the Yonko are Yonko level, or the admirals are admiral level. They're supposed to be equal. This is a god of creation and a god of creation, but clearly there is a hierarchy in here. There's clearly something where Zeus holds a level of respect, or at least a level of fear, where it's like, okay, I can push this only so far before, me getting tangled up in Zeus might not be the best idea. So that's showcased here, and we see here that, they basically both calm down, and it's going to be Zeus versus Adam. I found this weird at first, because I basically said, okay, well, Zeus showing up at first, that kind of makes sense, but it kind of didn't. But remember, when I first read this series, I missed the part that I think we talked about in the first discussion, which was simply, this whole thing is kind of, well, it's not elimination. It's best out of 7. So whoever wins the first 7 fights is the victor. I thought when I first read the manga, I must have, been breezing through it or something, or not paying enough attention to the rules. I was under the impression that they were going to keep going, like a ladder, like a tournament format until they reached the top. Who was going to be the ultimate champion was going to basically be the end of the day. And clearly, I mean, it makes more sense for it to be in this format, but I totally forgot that. So when I reread this fight, I had a different sense than when I first read the fight. Just a little side note there. But it's Zeus versus Adam. And this fight, he keeps calling him kiddo. Adam keeps calling him Gramps, or old man and stuff. And they're basically like, okay, so what's his Voland, what's his choice of weapon? What we get here, some beautiful art, and it's basically brass knuckles. He gets brass knuckles, or what they call it here, the knuckle duster. That's what he gets. And he's like, okay, I'm liking this because he's, he's naked. He's Adam. He's the first man. He doesn't really, swords and spears and shields and guns and stuff. That's not him. He's an unarmed combatant. So it's Zeus versus Adam, the second battle. And this is where we get some of the best artwork, in my opinion. Like the start of this fight is just the tenacity, the impact is just ready to go, because we don't know what Adam's power is. Once you know about Adam's power and his bit of his backstory, very disappointed in the interpretation of the snake, the serpent, the sinner, the devil himself, Lucifer. A little disappointed in how easily and how, just bitch slapped he is in this backstory. But suffice it to say, Adam's very cocky, and every time Zeus tries to go to hit him, he dodges. And we actually get the seconds here. Like the first blow by Zeus, Adam dodges, and it's 0.01 seconds. That's how fast Zeus was. And Adam dodged it. And then, we keep going. And each time it increases by another 0. 0.001, then 0.0001, then 0.00001. So they are actually showcasing the time of how fast he's doing this like meteor jab, and how fast he's doing these crazy fast punches and stuff, just the swallowing storm. And Adam seems to be not phased. He's dodging every single one. Then he uses a skill called the Divine Axe, a leg sweep, and Adam dodges that too. And he just keeps dodging, and Zeus is like, all right, let's do this. And all of a sudden, Adam basically repeats everything Zeus does, except Zeus gets hit. And then he does get hit also by the Divine Axe, and Zeus is just like, because Zeus is pumped up. He's this little old man at first, but he's jacked. He's ready to go. He's ready to fight. In some shots, he actually looks more regal. He doesn't look like the creepy, crusty old man look, but in some shots he does look like he's more of a boss. So he's actually been smacking down this and everything. But here's basically verbatim. Here is what is said about the power of Adam. And I love this ability. I think it suits Adam's character perfectly. It could be OP in any other circumstance, but it's simply God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Genesis 1:27 of the Old Testament. He was designed to be a copy of the gods, and as such, he can perfectly replicate any move he lays eyes upon, even those of the gods. That is the power of Adam's. It's called the eyes of the Lord. And so basically, everything his eyes register, he can see. Now, at first you would think, okay, well, Zeus is moving too fast for even the eyes to see. And it's a little more broken than that. This ability, this eyes of the Lord, I don't want to really call it broken, because these are all super crazy God level powers to begin with. But eyes of the Lord is simply, these eyes can trace everything. It doesn't matter how fast Zeus moves, these eyes will register it faster. Doesn't matter, we already saw it. 0.01 seconds, 0.001 seconds, 0.00000, as many zeros as you want, 1 second, these eyes can register it before it happens. That's the power of the eyes of the Lord. He is supposed to be a perfect copy of the gods. This also begs the question. We've seen Odin. We've seen some Egyptian gods. We have seen Shiva. We have seen Zeus. Where is the Christian God? We see Adam. We see Cain and Abel. We see Eve. We see Satan or Lucifer, the devil. We do not see the Christian God in any respect here. So I'm curious when they're going to save that. I'm very curious, because they're not hiding it. They're not saying like Zeus created Adam or anything. They're saying God from Genesis, from the Bible. Where is this Christian God? I'm very curious to see where this God is at and what their interpretation of that God will be. So pretty much the fight continues on, and it's starting with kicks and stuff, and they're just doing, like, as I said, Adam just keeps copying Zeus's moves, and it's like, okay, how is Zeus going to fight this? And so he's fighting this like mirrored image of himself. So Zeus keeps powering up, and the artwork here, like when he's going full Broly, he's just going crazy. He's just going, boom, I'm just going to keep muscle bound. I'm going to keep pulling at trunks and getting bigger and bigger, bulkier muscles. And then he starts calling him a monkey and all that stuff. We get Zeus's backstory first, which is simply how he defeated Kronos, his father, the Titan of Time, basically. And before he killed him, though, he actually took a lot of damage, and he took this strike. It was called, it's exert control all over time. So time literally stopped. This is the fist that surpassed time. And once again, it doesn't matter. The eyes of the Lord can register no matter what. Time doesn't matter to the eyes of the Lord. That is what is so OP about the eyes of the Lord. The eyes of the Lord is probably my favorite ability because it's not limited because Adam as a human would be limited. It's not limited by the fact if he blinks and he misses it, he's screwed. Or the fact that if it, like right here, this fist goes faster than time. It's faster. It surpasses time. And that shit doesn't matter to the eyes of the Lord. It's still something registered and can be thrown right back at Zeus before Zeus can hit himself. I'm blown away by how simple, but how well done this was. How you're just sitting here. I mean, I guess part of the hype of this series is that a lot of us who are anime and manga fans, we also know a little bit, all of us know even a little bit about mythology. More so than I would garner than the next person. The manga anime community knows more about mythologies than an average group or community. How about that? I've always found that. I find that whenever I talk about things, nobody asks me, well, what are the Olympians? Or what do you mean the labors of Hercules? Or you mean that Thor doesn't look like that? What Loki's this? That kind of stuff. People already know a great deal about Indian, about Chinese, about Japanese, about Greek, Roman, which are, of course, kind of carbon copies in a way of each other. Norse mythology, everybody seems to have a basic understanding of these gods. So I think the hype of Zeus, I think the hype of Adam, the first human, versus Zeus, the ultimate, the final boss god as he's been portrayed to be in this manga series, and we're seeing Adam. I mean, we already saw the devastation of Thor against Lu Bu, but now we're seeing a human actually beating down not just a god, not just a strong god, but the god, the father of, Zeus, the almighty Zeus. This is just intense, right? And he's doing all this stuff. So now Adam has this move where he can now throw a fist that surpasses time. And so basically Zeus is brought down by this move. And it's like, okay, what is that what happened? Not exactly, because basically it's explained that they can't even follow these. Some of them weren't able to follow these moves at all. Hermes tries to explain it. Ares gets mad at him. He says at the same time, a moment later, by some unknown force, he was able to copy the fist that surpassed time, dodge Zeus's by a hair, and then he connected it with his own fist. Now, Hermes here, for some reason, is able to, who seems to appear to be the youngest or one of the youngest brothers, seems to be still the butler type character, but he seems to know a great deal more than Ares, the god of war. Ares in the series is meant to look like a bitch, guys. He's meant to be basically our mediator. He's a god. He has god level powers, but when he looks onto a fight, we get basically his perspective and what he can perceive or not understand, right? Hermes seems to be more powerful, more devious. Once again, Kisuke Urahara type of character, right? But the mighty Zeus has fallen. He's down. And basically that's going to be the end of the fight, right? Adam won. Adam won his bout. Then we do see basically what ended up happening. Eve was put on trial for eating the apple, but it was basically Satan. Satan put her up to it because she wouldn't, she wouldn't bite, so to speak. He tried to, coerce her and all this stuff. This is the interpretation they're going, is that Satan tried to coerce Eve into eating the fruit or being with him or whatever it was. Pretty much, he basically brought evidence towards the court and says, she ate the apple of the fruit, she should be banished, all that kind of stuff. Adam basically shows up and says, nope, I brought a whole basket of apples from the tree, and he eats them, and he's just such a boss about it. He keeps eating them right in front of this whole council, and he basically goes, yeah, no, I'm going with Eve, Eve's coming with me, I'm Adam, it don't matter. So Satan basically tries to attack him, and of course the eyes of the Lord work, and he butchers Satan, it seems, or it kills Satan by the looks of it, with the eyes of the Lord. So we don't see God in this flashback or anything, but we do know now Adam's backstory and why he's the one who seems to detest the gods in a certain way. In all intents and purposes, this means the devil's dead in this continuity. The devil's already dead, so that's interesting. And we haven't seen like Hades or anybody like that, so that's interesting. But he knocked out a god, and that's a huge thing here, right? Because we haven't seen that. We haven't seen a human, and he hasn't even broken a sweat. And Heimdall is here, and he's ready. He's ready to say, okay, I guess victory goes to humanity. And all of a sudden we see Zeus with his neck in the wrong direction. I mean, like his whole body is twisted, and it's just, oh man, it looks gross. It looks grotesque. But once again, the art in this fight, and this is where the hype builds back up. It's like, wait a minute. Zeus just got his neck basically broken. It was turned around 180 degrees, knocked to the floor by a fist that surpassed time, his own move. A move that actually injured him when he fought his father. And he's back up. And Adam's like, okay, well, so now it's basically Adam versus Zeus 2.0. Now we're going at it again. So Zeus basically says, I don't feel, the flames of hatred in those eyes of yours, hatred or revenge. This is why I think people love this characterization of Adam, and I love it too. We've only seen Adam so far, even in this flashback, be blasé, be all, okay, whatever, I don't really care, I'll eat the apples, I don't care what the gods think, I don't care about this, I don't care even about this fight. He's got this bored expression on his face. But here, when they say, don't you want revenge against us, don't you hate the gods, but I don't see any of that in your eyes, and he says, I don't need any of that. There is no reason why. Is there any reason any man needs one reason? To protect his own children. Because he views all of humanity, of course. He's the first human. They are all his children. Every single human in the crowd and that reasoning is just, and all of humanity all at once basically sat down. Basically, they all got together for one moment pretty much, and they just all went, he's right. Like this is a father protecting his children, no matter how old they are, no matter how many centuries and millennia these people have gone through. Adam is their father at the end of the day, and that's how he views all of humanity, as basically his children, and that's what he's here to protect. He doesn't care about revenge. He doesn't care about anything, but he does care about this. For the first time in history, humanity stood as one. It was the one time in one moment. In this moment, all of humanity was united. And everyone was like, you know what? Damn. So then Adam starts to get serious. We see Zeus get serious. He goes into some basically, he condenses himself down. He goes into this very, very creepy looking form. It looks really creepy. We do also see Loki, I believe. Yeah, we see Loki transformed into Thor, pissing off the ravens of Odin. So now we get Loki in here, who is also a combatant on the list, remember. So we do have Loki showing up, who looks basically like you would expect, cross between an emo and a hipster and a punk rocker. That's basically what, yeah, he looks like from a punk rock band mixed with a hipster of today. That's pretty much what Loki's deal is what he looks like. Deranged little weirdo. Some of the facial expressions, though, once again, this art style is it's just built for a manga like this. It just brings it about so completely. As I said, Zeus goes into this crazy form, and Adam starts to get serious because he can sense how powerful Zeus has now become in this crazy, super thin, called the Zeus's final form, the Adamus, or diamond form. It's just, everyone's, the pressure of Zeus's form has Adam taking a serious stance, and it's Zeus versus Adam. Eyes of the Lord versus Zeus's final form. So pretty much the strongest strike, the true God's right versus Eyes of the Lord. Eyes of the Lord works, hits Zeus, but without faltering, Zeus keeps following up with a left. So, of course, Adam, once again, Eyes of the Lord. And he keeps sending it back, and sending it back, and sending it back. But the problem is now, as Brunhild soon realizes, Adam's eyes start to break. Like we see the veins coming across. And here's just where, man, it's intense. Like, basically, he starts to have this nosebleed, and he starts to do the super, like, all of a sudden, Adam's like, okay, what happened there and stuff. He started to overheat. He can't use Eyes of the Lord. Every single one of Zeus's attacks, every single time he does a jab, is an instant kill. If Adam doesn't dodge it or he gets hit by it, he is dead. It doesn't matter. This is Zeus. This is the father of gods. This is the final form. He hits you, you're dead. It doesn't matter if you're Adam. So he has to use Eyes of the Lord constantly. He can't stop. And no matter how powerful, this is where Eyes of the Lord turns from this OP ability, but it's not broken because there is a limitation. He can't use it continuously. It's in the electrical field, it would be considered a non-continuous load. It can't, the panel, in my case, the breaker, the fuse, cannot take constant of that level of power and amperage and voltage all the time. It eventually will burn up and the fuse will blow. That's basically the electrical mind of mine figuring this out, and it's a very similar concept, and it's absolutely true. So those eyes, he's just pushing them to the limit. So it's basically what's going to be the first to fall. Is Zeus's own strikes going to fell him before Adam's eyes break or not? And it just keeps coming down to it. The limit is going to be, and everyone's thinking, okay, well, Zeus must have this in the bag then. And we see the eyes of the Lord are breaking. Then we see Zeus's body. It's completely contorted. It is completely broken by his own strikes, even though this is his final form, even though this is his weird skeletal diamond form. He's still taking huge amounts of damage. And we basically have Loki showing the overflowing and which one will start tumbling down at first. So pretty much they just go strike for strike, blow for blow. And they keep going and keep going. And everyone is basically moved to just watch this. Just continuously watch this. The gods are rallying, saying, you can't lose. And we have, humanity basically doing the same thing. No, you can't. Zeus has to go down. Father can't lose. Adam can't lose. So everyone there was none other than Adam himself, the vast majority of the ends of the world, and an infinity of tiny triggers just going through, and eventually, finally, the eyes broke. He basically went blind. The eyes, it was Adam in the end of the day, the eyes of the Lord, and he gets struck. Now, this is interesting here. We knew that this was supposed to be a one-hit kill, no matter what. That's why he had to constantly overuse his eyes. Use the eyes of the Lord to dodge the strike because it would kill him. We see Adam take his first real hit, and it's boom, and it looks nasty. It looks messy as hell. But I'm under the impression here that because Zeus has been so battle damaged at this point, that his one-hit kills, punches at this point, have been significantly reduced to the point that, we're going to know what happens here. But at the end of the day, that did not finish him off in one strike. We finally, one fist did connect with Adam, but Adam stands firm, and he takes another hit. And they continue to have this barrage. He starts blocking, and he's taking these hits. He's on the defensive. He's taking the hits. But Adam can't use the eyes of the Lord anymore. So he's not actually able to dodge them. But he's taking this barrage of blows. So as I said before, When he went into the diamond form, sure, he was already battle damaged when he went into this form by taking his own attacks. Then, afterwards, he went into this form where he was putting all his power into his fist. However, he took a multitude of blows as we saw him contorted and congested, and the ravens of Odin were shocked. This is where I believe that his power significantly reduced to the point that, yeah, Adam is taking heavy hits. This ain't no picnic, but it's not going to blow his freaking head off either. So, pretty much, they're both at their limit. It's just that Adam was at his limit first. So, Adam continues to hear the cries of his children, and it's all right. And he's saying basically, don't cry. Your dad's here to protect you. I'll make sure to beat anyone that tries to do it. And then Adam took one more grasp at the thread of victory. He was on the defensive. He couldn't do anything. He took a blow purposely to grab Zeus by the hair so he could not escape. And he holds on tight. And then they basically go blow for blow. And he basically says, found you. And even Odin and the ravens, they are shocked. Adam is still alive after taking a barrage from Zeus. These one-hit, unavoidable kill shots, punches by Zeus. Final form, Adam basically like, I've been waiting for this. I got you now. So now Zeus can't dodge Adam, regardless of the eyes of the Lord, because he's got a grasp on him, so he can just keep wailing on him. So now they're freaking insane. So they just go at it in one of the most beautiful panels I have seen in this series yet, where they both are ready to strike. They're both going at it, and they basically they both grab each other, and it's a one fist versus one fist barrage where they just don't stop hitting each other. It is brutal. Everyone onlooking is nuts. Some of the best artwork of Adam here. It's as Ares put it earlier on in the chapter, it was just a fist fight. Has it ever been this beautiful? Like, it's just done to a level that I haven't been, like, that I so fully appreciate, and I hope you guys do too. I hope if you haven't picked up Valkyrie yet, this is where you pick up Valkyrie. This is the thing that should get you into this. This fight is a perfect fight. There is no flaw in this fight, except for one thing. At the end of the day, they both take strikes. Zeus falls. Adam is the victor. He's standing tall with Zeus down on the ground. And they say the almighty Zeus has been brought to his knees. And he's not in his diamond form anymore. He's back to the shriveled old man, and he is beaten down. And Zeus says it's over, and everyone thinks Adam won. But at the end of the day, Adam is dead, standing up, but refused to kneel to a god. At the end of the day, his fist is held high. He's dead man standing, and he's standing there taller than Zeus. The original man was already dead. And Zeus explains that Adam was already dead before he dropped. He wouldn't bend the knee. Even in death, this kid kept swinging. As Zeus explains, Zeus, while they were throwing blows, Adam's love for all his children, all of humanity, was so strong. His conviction in protecting his children was so powerful that he was already dead and kept striking Zeus. Zeus even says, at the end of the day, even Zeus, the one who seems to be the one who hates humanity the most, the one who really wants to eliminate them, says, hey kiddo, seems you managed to put this geezer flat on his ass. You're one hell of a man. Even Zeus needed to acknowledge Adam's fighting capability, Adam's strength. He was, even Zeus at this point. So far we've seen Thor have a level of respect for Lubu. And now we see here even Zeus, someone who, like, we didn't really know Thor's opinion on humanity beforehand, but we knew Zeus's clearly. And Adam has made him turn the table. But if anybody else, so far in the series, I'm telling you right now, out of that entire list, nobody else could have defeated Adam. That is why Zeus went up there. Because it was supposed to be Shiva. And Zeus knew. Zeus knew if anybody was going to beat Adam, it was going to be him. Zeus was not willing to take this loss because he knew it would be a loss. He knew that only he could defeat Adam. That's my headcanon. That's the way I'm taking it, because Adam was probably my favorite character. There's one other in here that I'm going to be really hyped about in the third discussion, but basically that's the end of it. So no doubt about it. He goes, if this were a contest of endurance, I would give it to you. So Zeus even acknowledges that in endurance, he's better than himself. And we see, finally Adam fade away. The second battle of Ragnarok ends. The match length was 7 minutes, 13 seconds, and it was a straight punch by Victor Zeus. So Zeus was the final victor in that matchup. Now this basically is now 2 wins for the gods and 0 for humanity. So the despair is settling into the crowd, and yet all of humanity stood tall at that moment, remembering the power to rebel against the gods, the power of Adam. And remember, the reincarnation cycle is no more. There is no more. So we've lost 2 Valkyrie sisters, so 2 Volans. We've lost 2 matches. We've lost Lubu and his army. We've lost the first human, file 00000000001, Adam himself. And so basically, Brunhild is just like, all right, here's what we have to do. Voland is not simply the matter of becoming a weapon, it's a technique. In other words, they need to trust each other completely. They tried to explain Voland and stuff, and pretty much here's what we get next. Brunhild is eating a shit ton of pies for some reason. It's very interesting. Just keeps eating them and stuff. But she's deciding on the next match. The third contender for the gods will be Poseidon. Now, I always liked the interpretation of Neptune or Poseidon. I always liked the king of the seas, brother of Zeus, and all that stuff. I always thought he would be really cool. So right after Zeus, we get another one of the kings of the gods. We get Poseidon. We haven't seen Hades yet, but we do get Poseidon. So Brunhild decides pretty much after, going through who could possibly go against, the Zeus of the seas. Then finally, it's so interesting here, because here's where we get, and I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm not going to tell you, because this is basically where I'm going to end the video. This is where I'm going to, I'm going to end the video here. Now, this went on way longer than I thought, but I really needed to hammer home how great this Adam versus Zeus fight was. So sorry to leave you guys on that cliffhanger there. That was a little intentional. I thought about doing it. I thought, should I say it? Should I not? You'll have to wait until the fight is. Either read the manga, or if you're already caught up, you already know who's going to be fighting against Poseidon, king of the seas, who, in this interpretation, I really want that smug bastard to die. Like I wanted Adam to win. That's the big thing. Zeus, of course, Zeus winning makes a lot of sense. We kind of knew that was going to be the outcome. A lot of people would have put the money on Zeus. But Adam and the eyes of the Lord and his attitude and his speech and his endurance, as even Zeus proclaims better than his. Adam, from a standpoint, as I told you guys near the beginning of this video, he was a character that I wasn't invested in. And so far, he's become my favorite character of this entire series over one fight that he lost. That's how great Adam affected me personally. I just thought that there was just something so grand, so perfect about this interpretation of the first human, the father of all humanity. It was such a just interesting way to bring it about in the eyes of the Lord, man. I love the ability. I love how it still had limitations, but they had to be pushed to their limit. That he was going toe-to-toe with a brawl, a fist fight with the god. Forget superpowers. We're just going to have a good old-fashioned, fast-as-hell fist fight. And that's it. That's what it was. The 2 strongest probably in the series on both sides. The strongest god and the strongest human going, they don't need superpowers. They don't need weapons. They just fist. Let's do this. So either way, guys, as I said before, this is the part 2 discussion. Went on a lot longer than I thought. I promised that the next one would be way shorter. It's not. What are you going to do? I kind of went through it. I didn't intend to go through the whole thing, but I feel like these chapters are so long, these fights are so long, and I don't want to miss out on any information. So I'm basically doing a partial read-through along with discussing what I think and stuff like that. So, as I said, I'm still really interested in where the Christian God is who created Adam in the first place and stuff. I'm interested to see their appearance and that kind of stuff. But either way, yeah, Adam probably my favorite character. Definitely one of the top two. The other one is actually we'll see him in the next fight. So already a little bit of a spoiler there. We see him in the next fight against Poseidon. Those two are my favorite characters, Adam and the one fighting Poseidon. So yeah, I don't know which fight I like more, but definitely these two are my favorite characters, and I hope I've conveyed it properly. As I said, this is more of a read-through than a discussion, but I tried to bring up the discussion points, and I'm rambling and making this video longer than it needs to be. So I just really wanted to get this out because I really want to start reviewing this, and I think these videos won't be so haphazard and so long and involved and boring for you guys once I catch up with this third part of this series, and then I'll start reviewing the actual chapters, which once again might only be 5-6 chapters, these fights, but remember, it's a monthly series. Some of these chapters are 45, 50, 60. So I think one chapter was 71 pages. So they're really long and involved, and I don't want to miss anything. So stay tuned for the next part, the final part of this 3-part series. That'll be following the third fight with Poseidon himself versus, I want you guys to guess. If you haven't read the series yet, or if you already know or whatever, try to keep it to yourself a little bit. I want to see if anybody who watches these videos doesn't know who the next fight is, and be really interested to see who you guys think is up next. So, and if you do know, and you want to talk about it, wait for the next video. I'm really excited to talk about that. But please, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on the Adam versus Zeus fight. Do I hype Adam up too much? Am I too much headcanon fanboying Adam? A character from the get-go was meh to me, and at the end was the best. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Do I have a reason to feel this way? Did you guys feel the same? Once again, let me know. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget the bell notification every single time I drop a video, that kind of fun jazz. Don't forget to join the Discord if you guys are interested in talking with me personally or any of the other subscribers from my channel who are on the Discord, and some other folks and stuff like that, discussing manga, anime, all that fun jazz in the Discord. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Griever with your Valkyrie discussion part 2, Adam versus Zeus. Victory going to... Now, screw you, Zeus. Adam won that fight at the end of the day. He was standing, you were on your ass. That's what I'm saying. That's what this headcanon is telling me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you back here next time.